In Maya, applying textures to a polygonal surface is a little bit different process than it is with NURB surfaces. With polygons, you can actually apply a texture per polygon. So every polygon in your model could actually have a different texture. This gives you a lot of flexibility in the way that you can texture an object. Let me show you some basics. Let's go ahead and just take a simple object and shade it. Now, if I want to, I could apply a material very simply to this just by going over to the Rendering tab, picking a material, and applying it. Then I can change it to whatever color I want, and so on. Now, with the polygonal surface, what's really nice is that each individual face can have a separate texture. So, for example, if I selected a handful of these faces, I could just apply another material to it and give it its own separate color. So every part, every face of the model can have its own material and its own mapping as well. So all I'm really doing is just selecting faces and applying maps. So if I selected these faces, I could just right-click over this, select whatever material I wanted, and off we'd go. Now, once I've got these materials, they would still show up in the hypershade. So now that I've got all these different materials, they're all showing up here. And move this down. If I change them in any way, they reflect on that particular model. So this is a really good way to assign multiple textures to an object. So let's do something a little bit more practical. We're going to go ahead and open a scene in our Chapter 8 folder called Dog 10. And this is just our dog, finally completely modeled. Now it kind of just went through and added some extra parts. Now we have a separate head. The eyes are separate. The ears and the arms and gloves are separate. In fact, let's just work on the body. I'm actually going to select the head here, and I'm just going to go ahead and do Display Hide Selection. So all we're working with is the actual body itself. Now, if I wanted to, I could texture this by separating everything out like I've done with the arms here. So for example, if I wanted to have a texture for the arms, I could make a texture, say, called Shirt. And I could give it a color. Let's make it kind of a purpley kind of color, something like this. There we go. And I could apply that also just by going here, going into the hypershade, or just right-clicking here, and we can find our existing material, Shirt. And if I wanted, I could do them for gloves. So I could even select both of these and apply a material here, and we could call that Gloves. And let's give them whitish kind of gloves. But then when I get to the body, let's say I wanted to make the shoes and the pants a different color than the shirt. This is where selecting things out a polygon at a time is really beneficial. In fact, in order to really see these polygons, I'm going to hit my number 1 key so that we're not smoothing anything, so I can see exactly what I'm shading here. And let's go ahead and start with the shoes. Let's go ahead and just go right-click over this, go Face, and then, in fact, it's probably easier in a side viewport because I can get you can see where the feet kind of come in here. And so all I have to do is just shift select that, make sure I've got all of that selected. Well, not all. I can select this and this and this and this. And now let's go ahead and make some shoes. So he's going to have kind of shiny shoes. So I'm going to put a blend on there, which has a little bit of shine to it. And then I just want to give him kind of a dark color, almost black shoes, not quite black. And there we go. Now, I've got this model here, and if I go back into object mode here, you'll see that I've got 2 materials on this. I've got Lambert 1, which is the default material, and then I've got this one called Blend 2, which was the shoes. In fact, I need to rename this. Let's call that Shoes. And now let's go ahead and do some more. Let's do the shirt. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click over this, go Face, select all of these faces. Let's see if I got them all. Now jump out here. Let's make sure I got all these faces here. I could also use Paint Select for this, but this is actually coming together fairly quickly. There we go. So you can see how you can get very, very detailed here. and select all of these. So once I've got all of these selected, I already have the material I've created for the shirt, and that's when I did the arm. So all I have to do is right-click over this, go Assign Existing Material, Shirt. And now that I've got that selected, all I have left are the pants. So then I can just go ahead and select those out, and let's go ahead and just do that very quickly. Let's go ahead and select these polygons here. Okay, and again, this is a lot of detail work, so I'm just going to do this very roughly, so that way I'm not going to waste all of your time here. I'm just holding down the Shift key and selecting these. And just making sure I've got all of those selected. And I can probably, there's a big patch that I missed. Okay. So I've got most of this selected here. Now all I have to do again is just make a material for the pants. Well, I want a Lambert because I don't want his pants to be shiny. He's not wearing plastic pants or anything like that. And then let's just give it a color. I'm going to start with kind of a light blue maybe, something like that. So you can play with that all you want. And now, there it is. So if I do a 3, you can see how it pretty much maps. There's a couple of little spots that I need to take care of right here. And just right-click over that. Lambert 3 is what I had for pants. In fact, I could probably rename that. Let's go ahead and rename that pants. And off you go. So as you can see, with polygonal models, you can assign a material to the entire model, or you can go down a face at a time and apply materials very, very precisely.